Now we'll begin our discussion on theory. There are three major theories in sociology: structural functionalism, social conflict theory, and symbolic interaction. And each has its own way of seeing how the world works. So we're going to start with structural functionalism first. And again, from time to time, I'll glance this way because what's on this computer matches what's on your notes. So structural functionalism is a theory that concerns itself with stability and order. And if we look at the term structural functionalism, structure meaning stability and function meaning purpose. So the structural functionalists believe that the most and best optimal condition of society is one where there is stability and order. We're getting along. There's no war. There's no conflict. There's no violence. When society is in balance, everything works well. So they believe that parts of society are interdependent and interrelated. They relate to one another, and each part of society works for the benefit of keeping society stable. But let me back up for a minute. Would you agree with me that society operates according to a system of rules? That's what society is. It's us following the rules. And when we break the rules, it causes disruption. So for them, what's important is that we follow the rules because the rules exist to keep us in order and to keep us getting along and to keep society in balance. Therefore, they tend to be what they call social Darwinist. Now, do you remember who Charles Darwin was? Charles Darwin was the author of the theory of natural selection or the theory of evolution. Now, as a social Darwinist, they believe that society should change very slowly, very gradually, the same way we as human beings evolved from a simple life form to one that's more complex. And that happened, they say, over billions of years. So society should change slowly and gradually. They believe that all the parts of society, every event that happens in our society has a function and a purpose, and it contributes to the stability of society. Even the bad parts of society that we wouldn't like, for instance, crime or poverty. These things exist because they somehow contribute to the order of society. Because if they didn't, what would happen? They die off. Remember, these are social Darwinists. So that is fit to survive will adapt, change, and thrive. But that isn't will die off. So when we don't need crime, it'll go away. When we don't need violence, it'll go away. When we don't need poverty, it'll go away. So you might think crime is bad for society. We shouldn't have any crime. But how does crime contribute to the order of society? What does crime do? Well, I can tell you, it creates hundreds, thousands, even millions of jobs. The criminal justice system, the system of penology where people are imprisoned. There are institutions that benefit from prison labor. There are institutions that make the uniforms that inmates wear, that make the food that inmates eat. So there are millions of people that depend on the commission of crime. So if crime doesn't do anything else, it provides jobs. And according to Emile Durkheim, not only do you need crime, you need serious forms of crime because in the absence of crime, or what we call real crime, then human flaws will be treated criminally. So if the worst thing you can do in a society is lie, then as a liar, you get the death penalty. But when we've got rape, murder, and armed robbery, we've got bigger fish to fry. So while your lying may be problematic, it may not cost you your freedom, unless you, of course, lie under oath. But I digress. Let me get off that because sometimes I go off on a tangent. Now, let's talk about these last two terms, manifest and latent functions. For every social pattern, for every cultural norm we engage in, there is an intended consequence. That's what that means. It's something we meant to happen. So let's think about the social pattern of you enrolling in college. There are certain things you signed up for as a college student. For instance, you intend to pass your class, hopefully. Go to class, take exams, complete homework, write papers, study. Those are the intended or manifest functions of being a college student. But just like there are manifest functions, there are latent functions, which are unintended consequences. Some of the things you didn't sign up for, but nevertheless is part of the experience. So, debt. Now, we know college isn't free, but when you put aside $300 to buy your books, you didn't know that $300 would only cover 2 of your books. So, you got more debt. Failing a class. I don't know how many people register for a class with the intent of failing it, but sometimes that happens. But there are some positive consequences too. Like you meet friends. You meet the love of your life. Had you not looked across that crowded sociology class into the eyes of your soulmate, you probably never would have met that person had you went to a different college or had not went to college at all. But I know right now we're not looking across the classroom into anyone's eyes because we're in the midst of a pandemic. Therefore, well, again, I get back to this. So you meet people. And had you not went to college, maybe you wouldn't have met those friends. So it's not to say that you went to college to meet people, but that's a positive latent function of being a college student. So we're going to talk about the structural functional perspective over and over throughout the semester because they have their own way of looking at how the world works. So when we talk about deviance, or we talk about family and religion, or we talk about groups and organizations, we're going to be applying the structural functional perspective. So the more it's applied to a particular topic, the more acquainted you'll get with their particular theoretical view.